of Talent Tribe channel, and like we always have visitors in our program, and we try and engage with them in matters that are related to people. And today we have a very privileged uh, member of our community, and most of you are probably aware we have none other than Mr. Selvam George. Welcome, sir, and welcome to Talent Tribe. And we've discussed many issues in the past, and one particular issue that been on my mind for a long time, and I've been waiting for the right person to discuss about this. And I'll come to the point straight away, and then we'll hear more from Mr. George. So I started, and I'm sure George also started his career when human resource management was all about people. It was very people centric. There were a lot of behavioral emotions and all of that. And then 20, 30 years later, it's now mostly technology driven. There's more about technology than people. And I myself got hired and I left an organization not having met anyone. It all happened digitally. And there's nothing wrong with it. The whole world has gone digital and we have to keep pace with it. The reason why I say Mr. George is an apt person to be part of the discussion is that he'll talk to us a little bit more. In my memory, 30 years back, he's one of those HR leaders who primarily was an aeronautical engineer from a premier institution in India. And then he also did human resource management from XLRI. Then he started his career through iconic industries. So that is why I say he's the most apt person to discuss the subjects of George. As you would know, we're talking about technology and people. So you made that transformation 30 years ago. If I were your dad, I would have been disappointed.
Yeah,
Son, I put
absolutely.
you in engineering college. And why did you choose a career and to do human resource management would have been the primary question. So
Oh,
love to hear from you.
it's a good question to start with. Yes. Um, the career normally driven by two factors. One is external, environmental, which can be giving you money and the status.
Mm.
And the second one is internal, your desire, your passion, and all those things. So naturally, when I passed out my degree, I was looking out what are all the options available, and one of the prestigious option was to become an aeronautical engineer from the MIT Chennai. So I said, okay, let me go for it, and that was blessed by my parents, as you rightly said. But when I did my BTech and then went into ME postgraduate, slowly my interest graph in the education coming down.
Mm.
So I said, am I doing for earning some money, or am I doing which can create happiness in my heart? Possibly the first one. So if I have to couple the happiness with that, then possibly I have to identify what I'm passionate about. So during the 5 years in the engineering, both B and ME, what I was noted, or when I was energized was when I was working with people.
Mm.
It could be building a magazine. I brought a magazine with 9 different languages, first time in the history of the college. Then I brought some drama and skit, working with the people. Then I was in the sports, working with the people. I said, if there is a function where I can work with the people to make a difference, that would be ideal. And I never heard about HR, I never heard about XLRI. So somehow that came into mind. Then I went to XLRI. Again, my learning graph went up with happiness. And I said, this is where I want to be. Now, then, like you quoted my father, yes, a lot of people asked, why you wasted your engineering? Okay. Now, engineering was very, very helpful to me because when
Mm.
I joined an engineering industry, TVS Motors at that time, there was a particular person who never allowed anybody in HR to interview the technical people. He said, what you know about technology? I will choose, you just issue the appointment letter. And then I said, can I go and interact with him? Initially, there was rejection, resistance. Then he said, okay, let me understand whether you understand my process. Then engineering definitely helped to build the rapport. And then onwards, I was part of his recruitment team. So coming back, a primary function can have a secondary function to support that. So in the business today, HR still is relevant it will get augmented with the digital. It can never be replaced. Yeah. Say, for example, if you take the olden days, it all started with the Industrial Revolution. They said thermalics, which means any process can be divided into small portion called the unit of one motion, thermalics, and process management is the ultimate. Fair enough. Then people said the process is governed by the person. So the person's inner dynamics has to be understood. So the Maslow came, the Herzbergs came. They said psychology matters. So it's not the hand alone. The heart, which is triggering the hand, and the mind matters. So all the psychology came in. Fair enough. Then they said, okay, are we going too much into that side? Let us make a combination of process and people. The quality circles, all that came. So that came. Then today, if you really fast forward and see, it has come to a stage, the process and people at the macro level is the organization, and in the micro level, individually saying, I am an organization. Okay, I will like sometime back you said the person is saying that I like to dictate how I want to work, working from home or whatever. So he says, I'm an organization, I may subcontract myself to you, so you tell me what you're giving. So it has come to that stage. So coming back to the question, yes, digitalization will be an augmented help to the human resources, but never can replace. The day it can replace, when we can say it's all AI, it's all data driven, it's all head related. So the human organ can live without the heart. The feeling is no more important. The human life can go without the heart. Possibly organization can go without the human resources function.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very good response, and yeah, quite convincing as well. But looking at the trend, like you're a pioneer, I don't think the industries that you work for was actually looking for a HR leader with an engineering qualification. It may have, but today there's an increasing trend that most industries are now looking for HR managers and leaders who have an engineering background. I have one or two clients who said we want to have a HR leader, essentially should have an engineering qualification. So there seems to be some kind of a business reason behind that.
Sure.
Yeah, where do you think an engineer brings more value to a HR?
Good question. Is that an engineering industry?
Yes.
Okay. So now coming back, now HR is one of the profession which was misused by the people or the aspiring students. Say, when I go to management colleges, people say, "Why you chose HR?" If I go to finance, too many numbers, too many calculation. If I go to marketing, I have to travel. If I go to engineering, I have to work in machines and shift. If I have HR, it's okay. What do you mean by HR is okay? People. I like to interact with people. Every function has to interact with people, whether it's sales, anything. All right. So, am I choosing HR because I'm passionate about it, or am I choosing as an escape velocity? So, the quality of the people who are entering HR went up, but the quality didn't equally go up. Then people were have to filter. Now, when you are filtering, you have to use some parameters to reject some other people. So people say that if the volume is high, availability is high, I want to put a filter of engineering because I have enough engineering students with HR. All right. So instead of interviewing 100 people, oh, I would be able to interview 20 people. Now, does it really make a sense? Possibly in an engineering industry, it makes sense because the second mistake some of the HR people thought HR is only people. No, we are a business partner. If I were to quote Dave Woolrich, he said CASE, case of the HR guy, C for change agent, A for administration expert, and S for strategic partner, E for employee champion. So we are a strategic partner for the business. So how will I become a strategic partner unless I understand the business? And the engineering, leave alone the engineering concepts, because in that engineering industry there are R&D, there are production, they will take care of all that. But engineering gives a specific skill called the problem solving. How to identify the problem, how to collect the information, how to analyze that problem solving, that helps. So if we can inject that to a degree guy. So, an engineering guy entering and a non-engineering guy entering HR. Maybe in the first 2 years, he may have an edge. After that, it's all his individual cerebrum, how it works.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, I also thought about the fact that the HR function that existed 20 years ago is not the same anymore, because it used to be pen and paper. There used to be a punching machine. There used to be a canteen where you go and get food and all of that. But if you look at the process now, these are increasingly driven using technology.
Correct.
Right from the time of your attendance, your health and safety, you name it.
Yeah.
Everything happened, like working from home, and emails and the social, the platform that's there now. These are now become a very engagement platforms where employment really happens.
Correct.
There is transaction. For an HR person now, they need to understand that.
Absolutely.
So I think that is where HR people need not necessarily be an engineer, but like you said, should have an engineering mind.
Correct.
To understand the process and then facilitate that, because the people process is now driven through technology.
Absolutely.
So there's a lot of people working globally, different locations and all of that.
Yeah.
So I think that is where. And one other interesting fact that I made, and I got hit back from one of the participants, and he said, I'm being extremely rude. And what I explained to them was, gone are the days when a HR manager would manage relationship 9 to 5 within four walls. You check in and you check out till that time. I'm responsible. But now that boundary is no longer in existence. No. It can be in any part of the world. You can still be employed.
Absolutely.
And if you're a HR manager who is qualified and you want to work in that particular dynamic, then it's not going to buy. It's much bigger. So
Absolutely.
that is where I think technology comes in a big way.
Yeah.
So HR managers and professionals will have to embrace technology to be successful. Like you said, to be relevant in business as well. Yeah.
Completely agree with that. Technology is a must, especially when you're talking about the geography dimension and the time dimension.
Correct.
For example, when we were young, we can book a Bajaj scooter and wait for 3-4 years for the product to come. But today, if it's not there, I will go to the next choice. You only said that with the 6 touches, I will be able to choose a car, right? So, technology definitely is required to speed up, to improve the quality, to improve the productivity, all that. Now, there is a beautiful saying which says process excellence can be to a greater extent substitute for the deficiency of a human capability, but it can never replace it. That's a mistake we are doing. Okay, so they will do that, and the person who is in HR or any function has to get adaptable to all these. I'm not saying no. Yeah, that's a must.
Yes. And then there's another side to that, which I've heard. While I was all about technology, because that's my strength and love to be part of technology and all of that. And I said, okay, the behavioral side of human resource is immaterial now. That's gone. You don't have to worry about that. And then someone reminded me, a senior HR leader said to me, no, it is now that is more relevant.
Absolutely.
Because people are now increasingly engaging with technology.
Yeah.
The frustrations and all of that is now much more and bigger in a human being.
Correct.
Who else can address that other than the human resource professionals?
I will give a scenario. The number of corporate people going to cardiologists, counselors is increasing. If that can be substituted internally by the so-called HR guy, by process intervention and relationship intervention, this will come down. Why it's going up? Because I am becoming part of the machine. But by social principle, I'm not a machine. I'm a human being. There is something called the feeling. But unfortunately, again, Dave Ulrich, quoting him, he said two things: strategic partner, which means business priority, people supporting. But he also said change agent, where people first, the other process has to support. So when it comes to the change agent or employee champion, HR has to take the lead role and other functions will support. When it comes to strategic partner, business will take the lead role here to support. Now we are going too much there because the CEOs are paid by the bottom line quarter to quarter,
Mm.
and the senior leadership teams quarterly incentive is based on that. So when money becomes in friend, not the purpose or the people, then I'm not doing justice to my profession, I would say.
Mm.
Yeah.
So, folks, this is just the beginning. So, I'm very glad to have had Mr. George come over and we have this discussion.
And interestingly, I will add this.
Sure.
Those are all the days when people enjoy and their salary is called remuneration.
Question.
Today they don't enjoy, it's called compensation.
Compensation.
Like a workman compensation. I
Yeah,
give.
yeah.
What is the
Compensation.
compensation? I'm getting yes, over to you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, folks, it was a great pleasure to have George with us today. And this is just the beginning. Um, I had the opportunity to talk to him about technology and human resource, but I'm sure you have a lot of questions, and there will be a live session where George and I would be part of the discussion and take your questions. We'll circulate the date and the time, and look forward to many such discussions with us. We'll probably get more people as guests that will be involved with that. So until we meet next time, goodbye.
Provoking. Thank you for
Thank
provoking
you.
my thought process.
Thank you.